Welcome to the Light Dance Soaring Free channel.
Glad to be here for another deep dive.
Yeah, and today we've got a really fascinating mission for this deep dive. We are looking at a story that's been making headlines, but we're unpacking it through the lens of counseling psychologist Ding-Shu Sing.
Right, and her notes on this are just incredibly sharp.
They really are. So picture this. Right now, on the freezing streets of Stockholm, there is a highly intelligent temp worker picking up toxic, saliva-covered cigarette butts.
And getting paid a piece rate wage for it.
Exactly. But here's the catch. This worker isn't human. It's a crow.
A literal bird.
Yeah.
It sounds like the setup to a joke, but it's a real initiative by a Swedish startup called Corvid Cleaning.
And the internet absolutely loves it.
Oh, totally. It went totally viral.
Yeah, the global media has been raving about it, calling it a triumph of, creative environmentalists.
Which sounds great on paper.
Right. But today, our mission is to explore how this viral, supposedly feel-good story actually exposes something much deeper. According to Ding-Shu Sing, this is basically a dark comedy about human evasion of responsibility.
Yeah, and how this deeply rooted psychology correlates with our social status, the workplace, and honestly, our personal growth.
It really permeates everything.
It does. And Ding-Shu Sing uses this specific scenario in Sweden to dissect a very specific psychological mechanism.
But before we get into the heavy human psychology, we kind of have to look at the mechanics of what is actually happening with these birds in Sweden.
Right, the actual setup. It's entirely driven by binary logic.
How so?
Well, a crow spots a discarded cigarette butt, picks it up, and flies over to this pristine smart sensor dispensing machine.
Okay.
The bird drops the butt in, the machine registers the deposit, and then it dispenses a single peanut.
So butt equals peanut.
Exactly. Butt equals peanut.
I mean, I suppose from the crow's perspective, this is just a completely rational economic transaction.
Oh, completely rational. Crows and ravens are remarkably intelligent creatures.
Yeah, I've heard they're super smart.
Oh, their brain-to-body ratio is actually comparable to chimpanzees.
Wait, really? Chimps?
Yeah. They recognize individual human faces. They understand delayed gratification. They can even plan for the future.
Wow.
So if picking up our toxic trash yields a high-calorie, salty peanut, they are more than capable of making that trade.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. Because I can easily imagine a listener, someone tuning in right now thinking, isn't this just a win-win scenario?
Sure, I get that.
Like, the streets get clean, the birds get fed, so what's the actual harm here?
What's fascinating here is that the issue isn't the crow at all.
Okay.
The crow is making a rational choice. The issue is the human hubris behind it.
Human hubris?
Yeah, to really see the tragedy of this, we have to contrast this modern transaction with how humans historically viewed these birds.
Oh, right, the source material brings this up. The author talks about Aesop's fables.
Yes, the thirsty crow.
Exactly. In that fable, a thirsty crow finds a pitcher with a little bit of water at the bottom, right?
But it can't reach the water.
Right, its beak won't fit. But it doesn't just give up. It actively manipulates its environment. It drops stones into the pitcher, one by one.
Until the water level rises enough to drink.
Exactly. It solves its own problem.
And that is a perfect example of a creature using its immense intelligence to solve its own survival problem. It's acting with agency.
Yeah, totally.
But now, thousands of years later, its highly intelligent descendants are using that exact same neurological hardware to solve humanity's trash problem.
Wow. That's kind of depressing when you put it like that.
It is. We have taken a self-sufficient survivor and turned it into a piece-rate street sweeper. Ding-Shu Sing calls this a process of semiotic disenchantment.
Semiotic disenchantment? That sounds a bit academic. How does that play out here?
It essentially means stripping a subject of its sacred or symbolic meaning and just reducing it to a mere utility.
I see.
Like, in traditional Eastern culture, the crow has long been revered. It's often depicted as a filial bird, one that brings food back to its aging parents.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And in Zen Buddhist traditions, the crow is seen as possessing Buddha nature.
Buddha nature.
Exactly. If you look at traditional ink wash paintings, you'll often see a crow perched on a solitary branch, surrounded by this vast expanse of blank space.
And that blank space isn't just an artistic choice, is it?
No, it represents a psychological boundary. Mutual respect, non-interference.
Like, we leave the bird alone and it leaves us alone.
Precisely. There is a dignity in that distance. And it's not just Eastern culture. In Western mythology, The crow is Apollo's messenger.
Right, a sacred shadow moving between gods and mortals.
Exactly. But modern capitalism, it operates on a purely utilitarian framework. It looks at this sacred, mysterious creature and just sees an untapped labor force.
We just see temp workers with wings.
Yeah, we've used behavioral conditioning to completely downgrade this sacred symbol to a dispatched worker for the sanitation department.
That is a wildly different perspective. But going back to my devil's advocate question earlier, where's the actual harm? If the crow is fine, what's the problem?
The problem is what it reveals about us. There's this quote from a Swedish official involved in the project, and it accidentally gave the whole game away.
What did they say?
They lamented, and this is almost a direct quote, "We can teach crows to pick up cigarette butts, but we can't teach humans not to drop them."
Wait, really? We can't teach humans?
Yeah.
That feels like a massive evasion of responsibility.
Because it is. It's a total lie. It's not an issue of ability at all. Humans are clearly capable of learning.
I mean, yeah, we engineered these incredibly precise, smart sensor peanut dispensers.
Exactly. We decoded the behavioral psychology of wild birds. The cognitive ability is absolutely there.
So it's not that we can't learn to just, hold on to our trash for 5 seconds.
No. It's that we completely lack the willingness to do so.
Oh, I just don't want to be inconvenienced.
Right. And that shifts the focus away from the crows and directly onto the humans who are watching this unfold.
Which brings us to the psychology of the viewer. When this video went viral, millions of people were liking it, sharing it, calling it genius.
Because there's a psychological payoff for the viewer.
Why do we love watching a bird clean up our mess so much?
Dingshu Singh identifies this feeling as the pleasure of responsibility transfer.
Responsibility transfer.
Yeah. The exact same dopamine hit a parent gets when a child finally cleans up their own toys.
Oh, wow.
You're not just proud of the kid, you are thrilled that the problem is solved without your effort. You don't have to bend over and pick up the blocks.
Here's where it gets really interesting for you listening. We are essentially using our massive evolutionary brain power to invent elaborate machines just so we can avoid bending over for 1 second.
That's exactly it. And the text introduces a crucial concept here to explain that. Symbolic efficacy.
Right, symbolic efficacy. Doing something that feels like solving a problem, but doesn't actually address the root at all.
Yes. The author uses a great analogy. Imagine you're in a house with a collapsed roof during a raging thunderstorm.
Okay, water pouring in everywhere.
Exactly. Symbolic efficacy is the act of lighting a small candle in the middle of that storm.
Which obviously doesn't fix the roof.
It doesn't stop the rain at all. But it makes you feel slightly better. It gives you the illusion of having taken action.
So inventing this smart peanut dispenser for crows is basically just lighting a candle in the storm of our own trash.
Exactly. Our creativity in inventing these machines is just a smokescreen. It hides our inherent reluctance to take responsibility.
We get to pat ourselves on the back, like, look at us being eco-friendly.
Meanwhile, we haven't stopped flicking the cigarette butts onto the street.
It's just wild.
And Dingshu Singh points out that this is the mindset of a giant baby civilization.
Giant baby.
Yeah. When we constantly rely on clever external fixes, it slowly strips us of our practical ability to solve real problems. It quietly castrates our capability as responsible subjects.
And this isn't just about street cleaning. The author takes this whole concept of evasion and maps it onto specific high-stakes scenarios in everyday life.
Right, the 3 arenas of blame shifting.
Let's start with the workplace, because I think a lot of people listening will relate to this. How does this tie into social status and power dynamics at work?
Well, the workplace is where you really see this play out. Social status usually dictates who gets to be the human and who is forced to be the crow.
Oof. Okay, explain that.
Think about management. Higher social status. They often make massive strategic errors, right? The market shifts, they make a bad call.
And they start losing money.
But instead of taking the blame, which threatens their status, they announce something vague like rolling adjustment.
Rolling adjustments, that sounds so corporate.
It is. And what it does is force the grassroots employees into a frenzy of meaningless busy work.
So they just distract everyone down the ladder.
Exactly. And the author brings up the 1,000-page SOP manual, Standard Operating Procedures.
Right, the massive binder no one reads.
We think it's for efficiency, but it actually acts exactly like the peanut dispenser. It's a mechanical way to outsource responsibility.
Wait, how does a manual outsource responsibility?
If a project fails, management doesn't take the blame. They point to the manual and say to the employee, "Did you follow step 42B?"
It's a way to mechanically shift the blame downward.
Precisely. They use the system to evade the weight of their own strategic failure.
That is painfully accurate. But it's not just the workplace. Dingshu Singh also talks about the family, which is where this gets really personal.
Oh, family dynamics are full of this. In therapy, there's a concept called the identified patient.
The identified patient.
Yeah. So say a family has a lot of systemic anxiety, maybe severe financial issues, or the parents' marriage is secretly falling apart.
Real heavy root problems.
But fixing those is hard. So instead, the family unconsciously projects all that dysfunction onto one person.
Like a scapegoat.
Exactly. It might become the depressed spouse or the school-refusing child, and the family will drag them to therapy and say, fix them. They're our problem.
So as long as this one person absorbs all the blame, the rest of the family can just keep making a mess without having to change.
You nailed it. They don't have to look at the failing marriage because they are so focused on the problem child.
They invented a crow to pick up their emotional cigarette butts.
That's a perfect way to put it. And it happens on a societal level too, especially in what the text calls face culture.
Right, Eastern face culture, where public reputation is everything.
The fear of being blamed or losing face is so high that people invent the most absurd ways to cover up mistakes rather than just fixing the bad habit.
The author gives a great example of this. People throwing trash around at the local market and then loudly complaining about how dirty the neighborhood is.
Or parents spoiling their kids rotten and then complaining to their friends that kids today don't know responsibility.
Right, the complaint is the smokescreen.
Exactly. It makes them look like they care, which saves face, while completely ignoring that they are the root of the problem.
So what does this all mean for the person at the bottom of the ladder? Are we really just treating the people around us, our kids, our coworkers, like the crows?
Tragically, yes. While Sweden outsources to birds, we outsource our responsibilities to living, breathing people around us who often can't fight back.
That is so heavy.
The author shares a clinical case about this. She had a client who was constantly complaining.
Complaining about what?
Everything. Their boss didn't appreciate them, their coworkers were difficult, the universe was unfair.
Just totally externalizing the blame.
Completely. They acted like a temp worker, dodging duties in their own life, always waiting for someone else to fix it.
Forgetting that no one else can bear the weight of their life for them.
Exactly. And that brings us to the most powerful part of Dingshu Singh's analysis, the empty chair dialogue.
This part of the deep dive blew my mind. For those listening, this is a psychological crescendo. The author imagines a direct confrontation with the outsourced worker.
All right, and imagine therapy session with the Swedish crow itself.
She pictures the crow sitting in the empty chair in her office, and she asks it, "Why are you doing this?"
And the crow gives the economic answer. Because there are peanuts.
But then she asks, "Do you know who drops these butts?"
And the crow says, yeah, the two-legged ones. They flick them on the ground and walk away.
And when she asks why humans don't just pick it up themselves, the crow delivers this ultimate mic drop moment.
It really is. The crow says, humans don't pick it up because they're too busy staring at their phones, praising my intelligence.
Wow.
And then the crow says, humans invented the word responsibility just to give it to someone else.
Humans invented the word responsibility just to give it to someone else. That just, wow.
It hits hard, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows how deeply this psychology of responsibility transfer, it hinders us from facing our true selves. If we're always handing our mess to someone else, we never actually grow up.
This raises an important question about how we actually fix this.
Right. How do we heal?
Well, Dingshu Singh says true healing never comes from a creative external fix. You can't heal by inventing a better peanut dispenser.
So what's the alternative?
It only happens when a person stops looking for scapegoats. You have to stop blaming your spouse or medication or fate.
You just have to carry your own weight.
Exactly. You have to accept the heavy yet elegant weight of carrying your own burdens. It's the only way to actually mature.
Elegance and responsibility. I love that. Well, this has been an incredible exploration. It really shatters the illusion of that viral story.
It really holds up a mirror to us.
It does. And I want to leave you, the listener, with the author's final 2 questions to ponder on your own.
These are great questions.
First, is there a problem in your life right now that you are smartly bypassing without treating the root? And second, if all your outsourcing options vanish tomorrow, would you finally be willing to pick up your own cigarette butt?
That's the real test.
It really is. On this channel, we don't offer instant motivational cliches, but stay with you to see the truth.
Welcome to Follow the Light Dance Soaring Free channel. Share our content, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. See you next time.